Hello everybody, welcome to Monster Mondays. As usual, you're probably not seeing this on a Monday, and that's because I got really busy. It's getting towards the end of the semester for some of the clients, and a lot of them are asking me for some help in tutoring them and stuff. Anyway, that being said, it also took me a while to get this particular one edited the way I would have liked it with respect to the script. And the main reason for that is, well, to put it lightly, I've had books of 69 pages that had like 600 errors before I went to go publish them. But these two stories alone had that many, and I can tell already there's not 60 some pages here, so I had my work cut out for me. On top of that, I cut out some things that I thought that almost everybody objectively thinks made the story pretty bad, but it became popular for the fact that it was bad. So let's see if I can make it passable now. It started on a lovely summer afternoon. This is Sonic.exe 1 and 2. We'll start with 1. It started on a lovely summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explore the towns in it, until I noticed out of my peripheral vision that a mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox is a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. Looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's just call him that, whom I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks. I know because I recognized his handwriting. Though what was weird is how it looked. It looked poorly written and scratchy, somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it infects the internet. I've cut off my internet and I'm trying to remove the malware from my PC, but unsuccessfully so far. Destroy the disk and do not play it. I would do it myself, but I could barely bring myself to touch the disk and send it away, much less try to destroy it. It's infected my PC and I pried the disk out of it with a crowbar. And if you try to play the game, he will infect your computer. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disk and don't let your curiosity drive you to insanity and ruin your computer. It's too late for me. Destroy the disk and you'll destroy the virus. Don't play the game. It's what its creator wants. Just burn it, rip it apart, melt it. I don't care how. The game has to go. Please, Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle's my best friend, I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything to drive him insane. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disk and it seems like any ordinary computer CDR disk, except that it has a black marker written on it, written Sonic.exe, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning he must have gotten it from someone else, like at a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it since I'm a major Sonic fan. I went up to my room, I turned on the computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game. I was like, awesome, because, like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start, there was a split second. When I saw the title image turn to something much different, something I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like in a split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666. And the water had turned red like blood, except it looked impressively detailed. By the way, I should mention that although I kept the part in about him saying he's a major Sonic fan. I originally removed that particular piece from the opening of the story because it didn't really do much to move the plot forward, but I kind of kept it here because, well, he just said, the line above that he is a major Sonic fan. So we can presume that to be what he meant. And also, some people might remember that there was the word hyper-realistic used at least 3 or 4 times in it. Well, I changed that for impressively detailed because, at least that says something that's a real term or a real description people can put their eyes around, because hyper-realistic just doesn't work in these stories. Anyway, moving on. Okay. But the freakiest thing about it was the split-second frame with Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, with 2 glowing red dots staring right at me, and his smile stretched wider up to the edge of his face. I was somewhat disturbed about the image when I saw it, though I figured it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so, and then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up. I was like, what the flux? What's this thing doing in the first Sonic game? Oh, before I go any further, I should also mention there will be swearing in this one, but where there's abbreviations, I'll hilariously censor it, but anywhere else, sorry, I might not. We'll see. What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something off. The background was dark, a cloudy sky of the Bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was that of creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound, and only it was extended, seemed to have been in reverse. In the image for the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on, it's just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character selection. It showed only Tails and Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now, I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? That's when I realized this wasn't a glitched game, it was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy. But as a savvy gamer, I wasn't scared, or at least I tried not to be. I told myself it's just a hacked game. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked up file 1 and chose Tails, and when I selected and got started, the game froze for about 5 seconds. I heard a creepy, pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. Slight commentary here. For some reason, when I was a kid, I always pronounced Kefka as Kiefka or something, but I'm not sure if that's canonical or not, either one, but the city calls him Kefka, so I'll presume that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Anyway, the screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplest shapes were different shades of red, and the texture only showed Hill Act 1. The screen faded and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different, though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running like you would in any classic Sonic games. What was odd was that Tails was running along with the... as Tails was running along with the level, there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into sleep-deep tones very slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground, bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look I had never seen before, so I moved along and the worried look remained. I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more concerned as the music lowers and moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like somebody killed them in a rather in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still made Tails move. After a minute passed, the music stopped. Tails ran up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen and had his back against Tails with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him. If not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails sauntered towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move, so this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly I began to have a growing feeling of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something terrible was going to happen. I heard a faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped, stuck his hand up to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing more potent, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots. Just like that title image, I thought there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed back for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level, with the level title now saying Hide and Seek. This time I was on Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard that creepy laugh again, that awful Kefka laugh, right after 10 seconds had passed as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful, drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. For those that are a little bit out of the loop, the drowning jingle is the whole and then they're dead. If you don't get a bubble in time. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and suggest that most of my audience here has seen it. Or played a game, before. And Kefka, well, he's just the main villain from Final Fantasy, pretty much destroyed the world, had that distinctive laugh on the SNES version. Well, he was technically from Final Fantasy VI, but we thought it was Final Fantasy III at the time. Oh man, what a can of worms I just opened up with that one. Except you can look that up for yourself. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. Okay, this music's changed to that suspenseful drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose his sprite was making looked familiar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic. And he had black and red eyes again, only this time he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he enjoyed the torment of the poor little fox as he gained upon him. Suddenly when Tails tripped, another cutscene. The music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself, but then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails. Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down from the blackened eyes of Sonic as A grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went to black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned, only it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" Then the god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select screen. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had a look of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of sick, twisted joke, or anything really, but despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like the Gigas theme right after you beat Pokey and Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did, though not as much. More rather, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails and looked as if he wasn't sure about going on, but I made him move anyway. He ran straight down the pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but a black screen with text saying, "Found you," I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then it was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, that high-pitched squealing from Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn, then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. A terrible laugh went off again, and then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again. I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick and twisted little mind game with Knuckles and me. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for another 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. "So many souls to play with so little time. Would you agree?" What the hell? Just what is going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to believe that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time a second file had Knuckles on the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray, and his dreadlocks were dripping with blood. And his eyes were black and bleeding too, and he had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think these are the actual characters trapped in those TV screens on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to consider it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap, wish I hadn't, because then I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, and though I was under the light given off by the lamp that hung above my head, I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Why did you give us to him?" and "Run away before he gets you too." Their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh. His laugh, it sounded a lot like the distorted Kefka laugh. "You're a lot of fun to play with, kid, just like your friend Kyle, though he didn't last long." I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. "Won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends." I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out in several directions. "You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others." When he grabbed me and saw his bleeding black and red-eyed grinning face, I woke up with fright. After a couple hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening, so I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought it was wacky playing as Robotnik, but anyway, the level title appeared again. This time it said Ellipses, which I found really freaky. I was in some sort of hallway. It didn't look like it was from any classic Sonic games, though it has the pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple with an animated candle lights and a few dark bloodstains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above the top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, the red curtain sways very slowly, but you can barely see it move whenever you're playing the game. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This is the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation when I just left him standing. He turns his head to the left and to the right at least twice, then shrugs at me as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation, when you've beaten him at the end of a classic Sonic game and you get to chase him. So we continued going through the hallway. Then I stepped a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure himself. Though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed the walls have gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. Then we headed down another flight of stairs. This one was much longer. It took at least a full minute. Then I heard the horrid Kefka laugh again, and the music slowly faded out until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned a darker red, and the torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he now looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him, I was scared too. Suddenly Sonic popped out right at Robotnik the same way he did Knuckles in the red static. Red static lasted for about 15 seconds, then it showed me the most unpleasant image. The image showed an impressively detailed picture of Sonic standing in the darkness where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into black. When I say impressively detailed, I mean you could see the lines of his blue fur as if you could feel it if you touched the screen. His face, oh god, he had the most horrifying smile I'd ever seen. Not saying something considering I saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes are wide and black and once again crying blood, which also looked impressively detailed. There were two small glowing red dots in those black holes of the eyes staring right at me as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched the sides of his face like the Cheshire Cat, except Sonic had fangs. Very sharp fangs like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking and somewhat yellowish. From the looks of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs as if he ate some animal. I stared at the gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off of it. I felt as if it was actually looking at me, smiling at me, that face. It took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered with red static again 3 times, and on the 3rd time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded distorted, demonic even. It went back to the image again, except this time there was the text again. Although it was messed up, it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I'd looked at since I had this game. I am God. And yeah, this was the line I referenced in the Autism Forsaken versus Sonic.exe when Adam said, "You are not God, and I will show you the error of your ways," or something to that effect. Because, Adam the Forsaken, despite his acts probably under the influence of possession more than anything, was Jewish, and so they warn us about people thinking they're God or something, as well as idol worship, among other things, but, that's not exclusive to Judaism. I'm pretty sure the main 3 Abrahamic faiths all kind of share that to some extent. Okay, when I read the message while looking at Sonic, it hit me. I realized right there and then, this Sonic was a monster. A pure evil, a sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented nightmare, and all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys. And the game is a very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the sheer hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an exact split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen. He was screeching loudly with his mouth wide open at an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness before a red static came again. This time much louder and distorted, so loud it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed me nothing but a black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up. "Ready for round 2, Tom?" The Kifka laugh, now sounding clear as if Sonic was right behind me, played 3 times again as I looked at the text in shock and confusion. I then got booted back to the main menu, and this time a third save file had a TV image of Robotnik, in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache drooped and blackened, his glasses broke and blood was coming from them. He had a mere dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they're going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog, and always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified by what had just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one. When he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Literally drags you to hell where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. The game is unfortunately active and appears to be malware. Unfortunately, with the disk jammed, I'm as well to scrap the PC for a refurbished or a new one with what it would cost to have it fixed. And that was my revision of Sonic.exe. So, in the original, there was apparently some doll of Sonic that, was supposedly him coming to the real world. I said, yeah, no, that's going away. And I confess that I'm not the original author of this particular piece, but I did, hear a few suggestions from a dry bread on this particular one, and I thought, I wonder if I could possibly do it any better. That being said, that was the first one. Then we got Sonic.exe round 2, which, if I gotta be honest, was quite the, it's probably what took I want to say, almost 75% of the editing time. I spent like 6 hours or more on this straight, and this one, I didn't really have much time to really nitpick the plot details so much as just making it not contradict the first one too much. And so here's what we got. Sonic.exe round 2. It's been more than a year now ever since the Sonic.exe murders began to happen, and the police department still doesn't know who's doing it or why it's happening. The first murders looked as though the killer did a sloppy job at it. Over time, the killings, or at least some of the guys back at the station thinks it's just killings, have gotten more elaborate. Bodies have been starting to look like the victims just dropped dead or there were disappearances. One thing's for sure, all the victims seem to have a burned or destroyed computer with some data from a game called Sonic.exe. None of us have found any connections or clues that could help us learn why this is all happening. Well, no, that's not true. There was one cop who may have uncovered a little more about the murders than we did. The guy's name is Derek Green, an excellent detective, mainly because he was always teamed up with his sister Chelsea. They were assigned to investigate the Sonic.exe murders. I should know because I was their boss at the time. They're both dead. Sometimes I wonder if I should have helped him. I don't know. Anyways, the boys had found Derek's diary when we investigated the apartment. He hasn't been in his home for weeks. The diary recorded all of what Derek found in his investigation. My God, he wrote a lot, especially after the chief of police took him off the case. A lot of what he wrote seems to connect to what's going on with these murders. At least, I hope he was onto something. Here's what Derek wrote. 7:30 p.m., September 15th, 2011. Happy birthday to me. I got this diary as a gift from my sister Chelsea. This will undoubtedly come in handy when we both do another investigation. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my name's Derek Green. I'm a detective. Wow, I'm not really good at this. Hopefully I'll get better as I write in this. Anyways, let me know I'll let you know if anything else happens. 11:22 a.m., October 24th, 2011. Wow, pretty exciting way to start off a case on Halloween. Our boss told us there's a stiff in one of the local suburbs and he wants us to check it out. Wow, been a while since Chelsea and I tackled a murder case. This might be interesting. We're in the truck right now. We're heading for the house. 2:30 p.m. Sheesh, whatever happened in this house, I was not expecting. The victim looks like someone ripped his mouth open and tried to yank something out from the inside. I've seen a lot of messed up ways to kill a person, but this is rather strange. I don't think any average person would do this. The cop present at the time of the crime scene told us that the kid was like this for 2 days and his parents just discovered his body and called us this morning. There's a poorly made cut in his chest that's shaped like the number 1. Chelsea told me she found a possible clue for the murder. She showed us that the victim owned a computer. The computer is badly burnt and wrecked. Both me and Chelsea have a theory. Either the killer destroyed the laptop or the victim did it himself. Either way, we sent it to the station for research. 6:10 p.m. Alright, the guys from the lab have their report. They told us the computer's wrecked from the inside and out. What I mean is everything that was on this kid's computer is wholly deleted, while at the same time the computer got destroyed. The only thing that seems to still be on the computer is some data from a computer game called Sonic.exe. 4:30 p.m., November 11th, 2011. A couple more murders these last few weeks. All the same killing method. Dead bodies, torn open mouths, destroyed computers. The more recent killings are looking less messy, as if the killer's becoming more careful with tearing out whatever it is he's tearing out from the inside of these victims' bodies. There are also cuts in these victims' chests that all seem to be in numerical order. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The killer seems to be keeping count of all the people he's killing. 8:30 p.m. Had dinner with both Chelsea. Both Chelsea and I are brainstorming what's going on. It's extraordinary that the computers are getting destroyed every time there's a murder victim, and we keep finding that there's some old data from the same game. Sonic.exe. That name reminds me of all the times me and Chelsea played some of our old Sonic the Hedgehog video games. When we used to play Sonic Heroes, she always liked playing as Rouge the Bat, and I always enjoyed playing as Vector. But it's weird. What does a Sonic game, a possibly fan-made one at that, got to do with all these killings? 2:45 p.m., December 2nd, 2011. Another murder occurred, which is not a big surprise there, but now both me and Chelsea agree that all these murders are connected with the game. Maybe the killer made it his calling card. The chief told us not to worry about a simple video game and just stick with what's going on with the murders. 6:30 p.m., the autopsy came in again. The doctors told us that besides wounds from the chest and the mouth, the victims don't seem to show any murder or a struggle. In fact, as baffling as it seems, all the victims appear to be in perfect health apart from the fact they're dead. I air-checked the word dead because that's where the report came out really disturbing. The doctors stated they're all in what appears to be a persistent vegetative state, meaning these people are in fact still alive, their brains and hearts are still working. Still, they're all in an empty, dead-like state, as if something robbed them of their minds or sense of self. Chelsea said it was probably one of the freakiest things she's ever seen in her days as my partner, and I don't blame her. Who would be capable of actually stealing people's senses of self? It's like the devil is handpicking innocent people and robbing them of their souls for eternal damnation. 5:42 p.m., December 14th, 2011. Chelsea has been acting very strange lately. She seems quieter at work, and whenever we go home, she goes back into her room. I'm guessing she's just as determined to learn about this case as I am. If she's onto something, I hope she lets me know before making it official. After all, we're a team. 2 o'clock p.m., December 19th, 2011. Chelsea didn't go to work with me. She said she wasn't feeling well. I'm starting to get a little worried for her. Ever since we took this case, she's been acting rather odd. I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting. The boss told me not to worry about it and perhaps just look into what she was researching on. I might do that. Also, several news stories broadcasted about people worshipping this guy recently. He calls himself X. I swear, things kids will be into nowadays. 9:30 p.m., December 24th, 2011. Almost time for Christmas, though I don't know if I should celebrate. Chelsea's been shut up in her room almost every day, not responding to me. I hope she's alright. Anyways, I've been looking into Chelsea's work and I think she might have found something. Apparently the killer must be going after anyone who plays the Sonic.exe game, and once they've played the game, the killer tracks them down and kills them. Keeps count by carving the numbers into their chest. What about the fact that almost every victim looks as though they have their soul sucked right out of them? Wait a minute, I just remembered something. A few days ago, Chelsea came home from the store and went back to her room. She found a new game. Oh my god, Chelsea! 12:32 a.m. The writing's a bit sloppy, and there are tears splotched here and there. Chelsea is dead. She found the game. Oh my god, why? 4:50 a.m., December 25th, 2011. I called the guys back at the station to help me move Chelsea. Oh god, why? Why her? Did the killer find out and try to cover his tracks? No, it doesn't look like anything was taken or destroyed, well, except for the computer. The game is still there. I wanted to keep it and find out why this has happened, but the chief demanded I hand it over to him. The way he asked for it is rather odd, as if he doesn't want me to do anything to this game disc. The funeral for my sister will be prepared in a few days. I can't believe that Chelsea, my own sister, is gone. When I find who killed her, I'm going to make sure he pays dearly. 4:50 p.m., December 28th, 2011. Came back from the funeral. God, I'm a mess. Thankfully, the boss was there for me. He's the only person who's ever supported Chelsea and me, and I'm glad he's on my side about this case. A woman came to me at the funeral party. Her name's Shannon Goldman. It was supposedly representative for the cult of X, as she called it. She told me she was sorry for my loss and pulled out some weird religious crap about X, wishing me a happier year. Seriously, who is this X guy anyway? She told me that soon X will make things better for the whole world, which pretty much ended the conversation right there. That woman is crazy. Anyways, more news about the cult of X doing more crazy stuff. Whoever this X guy is, he's making as much an impact on the public as the killer is. 2:20 p.m., January 2nd, 2012. Another murder. Sheesh, this guy never has a break with this, does he? This is like the 22nd killing. What is he trying to gain from killing all those people? How the hell is he getting away with it so gosh darn quickly? I gotta know what it is Chelsea was finding. She was onto something. I just know it. Maybe if I look around her room, I might find a clue. 5:30 p.m. Well, whatever Chelsea found, she left a lot of good clues for me. The computer isn't entirely broken. It seems like it only just got beat up a few times, but still surprisingly working like new. I'm actually surprised. I didn't see it like this that night, but then again, if you lost someone you love, you too would lose sight of the essential details surrounding you. Anyway, I checked the computer and there's this icon for the Sonic.exe game on her desktop. My god, how the hell did Chelsea even get this? I guess it doesn't really matter. What's important is what I found in her notes. Apparently, Chelsea was terrified of this game. Something from the game scared the crap out of her. In fact, according to what she wrote down, she made it seem like the game is cursed or something, but that can't be the case. There's no way a computer game would harm anyone, right? 7:12 a.m., January 3rd, 2012. Okay, I changed my mind. Maybe there is something spooky about this game after all. Last night I had a dream. No, a nightmare, more like. I remember it well. I was trapped in darkness. All was quiet except someone was laughing and talking to me. I kept having visions of Sonic the Hedgehog smiling and appearing all around me as he spoke to me. He told me to play the game over and over again, each time sounding more impatient. When he got to my face and yelled, "Play it!" that's when I woke up with a fright. Why would Sonic want me to play a game that possibly killed my sister? 3:30 p.m., another murder, number 24, and the cult of the X seems to be pestering the public more and more. What's their deal? Don't they realize there's a killer on the loose? Wait a minute. What if this X weirdo is the killer? It would make sense. Ever since the murders started, this cult has been hanging around and recruiting more people, and this X character that they're worshipping, who is he? Why is it that this cult even started after several murders have taken place? I looked over at Chelsea's notes again, and she seemed to agree with me. Apparently X has something to do with the Sonic.exe game. Did he make the game? Did he somehow get a hold of it and thought, hey, if I kill people with this game, people will like me? If what X is doing is accurate, then something is seriously wrong here. 6:30 p.m. Unbelievable. The chief of police came to my apartment a while ago and told me that the investigation may be too much for me to handle, and said I was off the case. What the hell? I've practically found a lot of evidence for it, and he told me I shouldn't continue on. He also said that Chelsea would have wanted me to quit with this after what happened. Bullshit. Whatever, I'm not going to let some fathead stop me from solving this case. I'm going to find out who X really is, why he's doing all of this, and I'm going to turn him in. 5 o'clock p.m., February 8th, 2012. More murders. We're up to 28 now. Boss contacts me about it every now and then behind the chief's back. He told me whoever's causing these murders is one smart son of a bitch. I can't really blame him. As much as I hate to admit it, I have to give X credit for being able to kill 28 people so far, but he's not going to get away with it. Anyways, I looked over Chelsea's notes again, and what she wrote down before she got attacked was very odd. Nonsensical stuff about a Sonic plushie always watching her, spying on her. I never saw a Sonic doll in the apartment. Then again, I never questioned my sister's sanity. She was always one of the smart one in these things, and it just pains me to realize how broken she was before she died. I didn't tell the boss about X or Chelsea's notes. I know he wouldn't believe me. Nobody will. I guess if you had to solve a case, you had to do it yourself. One thing I just noticed was there's mention of the Sonic plushie that didn't happen in the previous story. Well, we could either take it as an oversight, or I could say, well, since clearly she was going insane the whole time, we can't say it's actually real in that particular case. But, yeah. Anyway. I know he won't believe me. Nobody will. I guess if you have to solve a case, you have to do it yourself. 8:30 p.m. Someone sent a friend request on my Skype. He calls himself Cole. He said he could help me with this case, but only if I can trust him. I really don't have a choice. I'm willing to do anything to put an end to this. Anyway, Cole told me that I first have to get all the files. I have to get the files of all the victims in the Sonic.exe murders. That's what the news is starting to call them now that the police have confirmed the old game in the computers as evidence. Later on tonight, I'm going to pay the station a little visit. 11:45 p.m. Gracious, what a close call. I had made it back from the station. I managed to grab all the files, and I had a run-in with the chief. He asked what I was doing back at the station. I lied to him and told him I had to pick up a few things from my office and decided to take some time off. Thankfully, he believed me, but it's strange. The way he talked to me, it sounded like he didn't believe me in the slightest. Anyways, I got the files just like Cole asked. I told Cole that all the victims had the same occurrences. They were in a dead-like state as if their souls were taken out and they were all numbered. In each computer the victims had was somehow destroyed and had Sonic.exe in the hard drives. Cole said there's a reason why all the victims had Sonic.exe in their computers, and boy, did I not like the answer. The cult of X is involved. After someone gets killed, their members steal the game disc the victims had at the time and hide it away for a while, until it shows up later in a random place to quickly obtain it. These random locations could be anything: a game store, a pawn shop, black market, eBay, Craigslist, random yet seemingly harmless deliveries. Anywhere that involves buying stuff. That way when the next potential victim finds it, he or she becomes the new owner of the Sonic.exe game until X comes to kill them. Then a member of the cult comes to steal away the game disc again, and thus the cycle begins anew. Okay, I remember why I kept the part about the plushie in there this time. The reason is because I interpreted it in this context to mean that the plushie was something that maybe the cult was leaving behind after they killed someone, much like, and like maybe they would start by leaving the plushie there to distract them. Then when they're like, what the hell's this bloody plushie doing here? That's why I left it here this time. Okay. I asked Cole why the cult is even doing this, and he told me that X, that bastard, is clearly some sort of holy figure to the cult and will do whatever it takes to be on his good side. What do they see in X anyhow? Why is it they like him so much and are willing to be accomplices to murder? Or better yet, what kind of power does X have to strike so much terror into people to do whatever he says? I would check the bite method if I was him. It's basically how all cults are supposed to work. And warning signs for if you discover it in a group that you might belong to or might be thinking about belonging to. Okay. But the Illuminati went over that several times over, so yeah. And you can look it up pretty easily. I'm not gonna spoon feed you all that information when it keeps us away from the story. Okay. 3:30 p.m. March 1st, 2012. I couldn't hold myself any longer. I had to know what Chelsea found in that game, so I played it. Started off pretty basic with this classic Sonic the Hedgehog screen until I started it. Sonic, his eyes had gone black, the red glowing dots were staring at me. Anyways, when I got on the character selection screen, apparently the game has one, I was shown the character lineup: Shadow, Sally, and Rouge. Rouge was Chelsea's favorite character. I chose not to play as her out of respect for Chelsea and chose Shadow. That laugh, it sounded just like the laugh Sonic made in the dream I had. The game started with the level title, Let's Play, and I was shown Shadow standing in what appears to be a hallway of mirrors, with a faint echoing sound of piano playing a calm melody in the distance. I had Shadow walk down the hall, and every time he walked past a mirror, I was introduced to a more twisted, messed up version of himself in the mirror. His reflections, red markings, were oozing red as if he was bleeding, and his eyes were bloodshot to the point where, if they were red, bleeding, and pulsating, he probably had the most psychotic grin on his face. It was like I was looking at a walking fountain of blood. I had Shadow walk past the last mirror and the music stopped. Shadow was now walking down an empty, quiet hallway. I had this growing sense of dread in my stomach, and Shadow stopped at one more mirror. He stopped right at it, showing his weird bleeding reflection, and then the laugh came again, and I saw that the real Shadow was slowly transforming into his form, bleeding and smiling. What the hell kind of game is this? And Sonic appeared with those black and red eyes, red tears coming down his face. He smiled and looked at Shadow, and the screen went black with a message on it. It's not the outside that's important, it's who you are on the inside that really intrigues me. When it came to the next level, Shadow was sitting on the floor, cradling himself in a half-fetal position like a child, just grinning that freaky grin. Then Sonic smiled and looked at me, and then he lunged at Shadow, and the screen going black with a loud pixelated screeching noise. I still feel as if I can still hear it ringing in my ears. That laugh came again, another message. You're learning more about this better than anyone, aren't you, Derek? What the fuck? How the hell does this game know me? It doesn't make any sense. It brought me back to the main menu, and I saw Shadow was on the screen on one of the TVs, looking as he did earlier, looking instead mindlessly happy. I had to turn the game off. My head hurts so much from all this. Was this what Chelsea found? A haunted computer game, and now some guy's using it as an excuse to kill people just to gain a cult? I just don't get it. Why is all this happening? Who is X? Who is X? Who is X? Sonic? 4:30 p.m., March 2nd, 2012. I've come to a conclusion that X is no ordinary human being. In fact, I no longer even think he is human. Cole filled me in about him. X is really called Sonic.exe, named after the game that's been causing all this trouble. Cole skyped to me recently that Sonic.exe has been around long before the game did. I asked him what X was previously. His answer unnerved me. Sonic.exe is a monster. No, not the monsters you see in horror films or video games. He's a real monster, and he's not just any monster, apparently. Cole told me that X is a supernatural being from another dimension. How fucking crazy is that? But it's true. It has to be. X has the power to control all of reality in his realm, and he is unable to do the same in our world because he can't enter it. Some time ago, someone made a game disc that would serve as a window between X's world and ours. Anyone who plays it gets a front row seat to what X's dimension looks like, and it is hell. Not literally hell, but pretty freaking close. Over time, after someone plays X's game, X sends out a plushie of Sonic to act as a spy for him. Then when the time is right, X can open the window for a short time and pull people into his world where they're trapped forever. This is how he's able to kill people so quickly without anyone noticing. He comes out of the computer, pulls the soul out of the person's body, then goes back into the computer to retreat into his dimension. There he can make the soul he captured a slave for all eternity. If I was told about this long ago, I would not have believed it, but now I'm straight up convinced. Everything Cole has told me has to be is the truth so far, and right now I'm writing down all that he's telling me just in case any of this information becomes useful. 6:30 p.m. Cole told me he has to go. He'll get in trouble if they know about our conversation. He'll Skype me again soon. Until then, I'm asked to write down the names of potential victims this time. I'm also asked to keep an eye out. Cole is getting suspicious. 4:30 p.m. April 22nd, 2012. The 29th murder, no word from Cole yet. I nearly escaped from a few members of the cult and anybody who might be involved. I can't trust anyone now. I need to stay in my apartment more often so no one finds me. The person killed this time was a middle-aged guy named Paul. He was very paranoid of the outside world, and anything could traumatize the poor guy. Apparently had a Sonic Adventure 2 game to stay sane and always played as Dr. Eggman. I bet you X has made the poor man a vegetable in his world by now. May 4th, 2012. May the 4th be with you. Alright, that was bad. I just realized something. Why is it the chief tried to get me off the job? Why did he confiscate the damned game disc? Why has he been practically intercepting every one of mine and Chelsea's moves in this case? He's in on this, and he's working for the cult of X. It's the only explanation. He took the game disc so that way the cult could continue to use it could use it to continue with the killings. But the boss, he can't be involved in it too. He's been mine and Chelsea's friend for years. No, I don't think he would ever go in on this. As a matter of fact, I don't think he even knows about what's going on. Damn, Chief, why would you do this? When I uncover this conspiracy, I'm ratting you out. August 12th, 2012. Boss called 2 more murders, 30 and 31. Some guy named Tom hanged himself weeks before he gained a package from his deceased friend Kyle. Not surprisingly, they both played the damn game. Okay, Tom hanged himself weeks before he gained a package from his deceased friend Kyle. Not surprisingly, they both played the damn game. Kyle played it first and passed it on to Tom before X got him. Kyle tried to put up a good fight against X, but he was clearly no match for the fiend, so Kyle tried to warn Tom not to play the game, but Tom did anyway. X used it as an advantage to mess with poor Tom's head, making him believe that his curiosity and wanting to help others was what caused his best friend's suffering. Tom tried to commit suicide by hanging himself to save himself from X, but apparently it failed. X is not only dangerous and powerful, he's downright sadistic and insane. He thinks that all the horrific things he's doing are part of some silly game. X, you monster, why are you doing this? What are you trying to gain? April 24th, 2012. Played more of the game. The level Sally was in was really odd. It appeared to be an old, desolate city. The sky had a dull, dark mixture of clouds, everything dull, empty, and dead, no music. It was weird as how she was smiling. Maybe she found something good? No, that wasn't the case at all. After I had run and jumped past debris and reached the end of the level, Sonic.exe was there. She smiled at him and he smiled back another message. See, I'm not such a bad guy, Derek. Then another. I can be kind when I want to. Then showed X holding Sally's hand, smiling warmly at her. She looked different now. Her eyes were sewn shut and her color palette seemed darker. X gently placed his hands around her head. I really do love humans, Derek. So much fun to play with. In fact, I guess you could say. Then it showed me a close-up of X with a wide, mad grin violently snapping Sally's neck. She was still smiling as though she didn't feel any pain from it. They're the ultimate toy. Almost gagged at that. The main menu showed Sally on the TV screen, still in a darker state. She was still smiling. She couldn't have possibly enjoyed any of that. 8:30 p.m. Cole just called me and said all the characters you play in the game are all of EXE's slaves. They turn into horrific parodies of Sonic characters, or at least turned into their favorite Sonic characters. And X sets them up randomly in each game to show us humans what's in store for us. Wait, oh god, no. I won't do it. I won't play the game just to watch you harm her, X. Fuck you. August 25th, 2012. More information on X. X has these 7 guardians ruling over the world alongside him. They're essentially extensions of EXE himself, made from the power combined with the powerful emotion of humans. Each guardian is named after the feelings that they were born from. Kido, prayer, Ashu, sorrow. Okay, Kido is prayer, Ashu is sorrow, Gekido is rage, Kirei, hatred, Kofuku is happy, Kyofu is fear, and Yukubo, desire. X created these beings to maintain order in the world and cause trouble in ours. They corrupt humans and make them more susceptible to X, snatching them away by manipulating their emotions. For example, Gekido could bring out your anger and make you violent towards others, while Yukido could use your desires to confuse you with what's real and what's not. Also, Cole has informed me that X plans to one day permanently cross over to our world, so that way his reality will merge with ours and all of mankind will become X's slaves for eternity. But how? How does he plan to accomplish such a feat? Cole thinks that the cult is thinking up ways to make it so, but so far none of their attempts have been successful. Apparently their knowledge of computers is not as superior as the unknown original creator of the disc. I asked Cole why he knew so much of this. I don't know what compelled me to ask, but I'm guessing it's been nagging me for some time. Dear God, poor Cole. He revealed that he was a member of the cult of X. Cole didn't like what was going on and tried to stop the cult, at least until X got to him. Now he's stuck in X's world and cities. Lucky to have even found me since the window is still there. Anyway, he's telling me he has information on how to put a stop to X and the cult's plans. The best way to stop X is in his tracks is to destroy the disc. That way his only way in and out of worlds will be gone, and he won't be able to cause any more trouble in ours. The chief still has the disc. I need to prepare to get it back. 8:42 p.m. X got Cole. I was in the middle of talking to Cole while training, then I got disconnected. When we reconnected, Cole's username changed to X. X told me that Cole has been cheating and needs to be punished. He posted ha over and over and over and over. Gosh damn you, Sonic.exe. My hand is still bleeding from shattering the screen, but I don't care, not anymore. It's time to end this. I'm gonna go get that damn disc and destroy it. If I don't write back after this final entry, well, let's just say whoever finds this, whoever reads this diary, please heed the instructions. Everything you've read in this diary is the truth. X is a monster from another world, and the cult of X is conspiring to help him take over our planet. This cannot happen. I hope whoever finds this tries to put an end to this madness. This is a game on a massive scale. We're all pawns in an elaborate, chaotic game. The rules are being devised in the mind of a monster. Please do whatever you can, friend. He must be stopped. Goodbye and good luck, Derek Green. That was Derek's last journal entry. He wrote it 3 weeks ago. Today is his birthday, and now he's dead. Wondered why he acted the way he did during these horrible events. I was worried about my friend, but I never bothered to find out why at the time. I feel so stupid. Derek tried to fight this battle alone, and I did nothing. I haven't heard from Derek in 3 weeks, but I got an email from someone named Cole yesterday. It was addressed strictly to Bob Richardson. That's my name. I clicked on it, and it was an audio tape that was made September 13th. It was the day before I got the email. I clicked on it. This is what was on the audio tape. Recording starts and a man is grunting and yelling as two people are dragging him into a room. Derek said, "Get your fucking hands off me, you crazy cultist freaks." Sound of high heels is heard as another person walks into the room. Shannon Goldman said, "Isn't that what you would call the Christians and the Satanists, Mr. Green?" Derek says, "Goldman." Struggling is heard. More high heel sounds as Goldman approaches Derek. Goldman says, "Derek, why do you deny X? Don't you see what he's trying to do for everyone? He only wants to make our world as happy as he is." Derek, a bit more quietly, "Happy?" And then louder, "You think stealing souls and turning them into puppets is being happy?" I almost said puppies. Oh my god. I wish. Our planet is not his toy box, you bitch. Goldman said more coldly, "It's not your place to decide what X wants with humanity, Mr. Green. He is a divine being that wishes to make society happy by showing us the paradise that is his world and taking us from this wretched filth of a planet we've been forced to live on." Derek's struggling. "Some of us actually like this planet, Goldman. X's world is nothing more than a prison. All X cares about is making us his playthings for all eternity. Can't you see it's not fair?" Goldman's surprisingly angry. "What do you know about what's not fair?" Derek said, "More than you do, obviously." A slap is heard and Derek falls to the ground. Goldman quietly, "You fool, X chose me to be his most loyal because he knew I never liked this planet. He knew I want to be rid of the stupidity humanity's causing. I'm perfectly okay with being X's slave if it means getting away from it all. Bringing the peace I finally deserve for all this time. And if everyone's got to go with me, then too bad." Derek chuckling rather shakingly, "Whatever, it doesn't matter anyway, because I'm going to stop you once and for all." Goldman said, "Oh, are you now? With what, I presume?" Derek pulls out something from his coat. "With this." Several gasps and murmurs are heard. "Cole told me the only way that X can enter our world to collect more souls is with this. Well, no more." A snapping noise is heard, followed by silence. Goldman starts laughing. "So Cole told you that, huh? A smart boy, but even geniuses tend to get their information wrong." Derek says, "Well, what? What do you mean?" Goldman said, "Easy." High heels again as Goldman walks around the room. "Indeed, X cannot enter our world unless someone places that disk in a computing system, but I'm curious, Mr. Green." Sounded Goldman pulling something from her pocket. Whatever made you think that that disk in particular was the original?" Derek shakingly. "No, it can't be." Goldman said, "A brilliant theory, I might add, but I'm afraid it's your last one, detective." The sound of a disk being inserted in a CD drive is heard. Derek could be heard violently struggling and yelling. No, let me go, you can't do this." And the strange supernatural sounds are heard, and then the audio breaks up and distorts a bit. A new person walks into the room as Derek is screaming for his life. X says, "Hi, Derek." Derek says, No. X more clearly, "Ready for round 2? And loud screeching noises are heard as the audio distorts badly more and more. Derek is screaming. Sonic.exe is laughing as there is a loud tune playing sped up in reverse, a loud, fast drum-like rhythm booming loudly as the whole audio distorts and breaks up, finally ending in static. The audio tape ends. After hearing this, I never felt so helpless. Both of my friends are gone, taken from me. There's nothing I can do about this. I'm a useless cop after all. But I hope someday someone somewhere can put a stop to this, to do what I failed to do. I have hope. I have to believe there's a chance at winning this. Because if there's no hope, no chance, Sonic.exe wins the game. And that was Sonic.exe 2. Final thoughts? A bit of an improvement from the original, as it does take into account the fact that there is some absurdity to the whole idea that this thing could just act on its own like that. There'd have to be people working behind the scenes, or at the very least supernatural forces at play that could possibly make it break that. But at the same time, where this one went wrong that, say Ben Drowned didn't, was that Ben wasn't able to escape his game, even though he was confined to it and able to manipulate it from within and manipulate digital objects. He couldn't physically affect another person. So I guess the story could have been a lot better if maybe they just had it that this cult was killing people in the name of him, kind of like that Slender Man incident where these girls went and killed their best friend as a sacrifice, in hopes of pleasing him. I mean, that sort of a turn on it could have made this a much better story, I'm sure. But alas, I only had if I'd tried to keep it on schedule, I would have only had just a day to do this, less than that, usually, since I end up recording these and writing them the same day I record them. But this time I was a bit late on account of working both my jobs and stuff. That said, hopefully Writer Wednesday will be on time this time, and if not, at least I have the poem ready. I just gotta find the time to write it and then read it out loud. So not to worry, I'll do a lot better on the getting things in on time. It's just the last 3 weeks of most of my clients' school, so it's going to be down to the wire on helping them get a lot of things turned in and keeping up with this show and keeping those other 2 gigs going. I appreciate your support thus far, and I welcome you to like, comment, and subscribe, or follow my playlists. Share these videos with anyone you think might like them, and hopefully I'll get better in time, and I did get a recent desktop tripod, so I'll try using it for Writer Wednesdays next time, so you can actually see up close my hand actually writing something, and you can see how it looks as I'm writing it down. The motions, the angle at which the pen is going, and how smooth the ink goes on and all that. And you'll also probably hear it a lot better too, the scratching sound that it makes. But with all that said and done, and that's our show for today, and feel free to support the channel at the Forsaken Scribe website, or even do your part for Autism Self Advocacy Network, either directly through them or buying a poem that is specifically designated so I donate on your behalf. Oh, and one last thing. Mom's not here, kids. Bye-bye.